that you can walk around on.
La 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 la.
I didn't know there was one, but is it still there?
the very old concept just had this singular door that came out of it.
Oh, was that a
at the top.
bathroom?
And went around the hangar bay, which you can still do.
Oh, you mean the swimming pool?
Yeah.
Right. I always call it the swimming pool. It looks like, you just take out the doors, put in the swimming pool, and you just, yeah.
Paul is not
anyway.
promising the Carrack Luxury Edition right now. That was just, it just looks like a swimming pool.
No, that's still there. You can still walk around the outside bit of it. It's not suggested. Like walking around on top of a spaceship is never a supremely wise thing to do, especially if it's moving. But you can. There's now 2 doors, so you can get to either side of the hangar railings.
Yeah. Well, just so you can
Hello.
reenact that scene from Teen Wolf is really the key thing. I don't know if that translates over. It was anyway. Do you have any news on the Drake Corsair? We're getting into just tell us where ships.
These are questions I asked at CitizenCon.
Portion of questions.
This is where marketing get.
Oh, it's built and done, isn't it?
We released it a while ago. No, we didn't.
Oh no, that was the concept.
No, it's not in active production, but like Paul says, the concept's done. It's a recent concept, so it should be a pretty simple one to just.
Yeah, I'm looking
pretty
forward to that
concept,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, it comes down to priorities,
Hey, guys.
time, and the resources available. On one of the many times we've come and talked about the process, it's finding a slot of time where we have the right amount of people, the right amount of time to do something that size, and if it will fit in there, we'll put it in there.
Cool. Oh, a real specific question. Hold on to your hats for this one.
They might find a slot for it.
Will the Banu Merchantman maintain its 3,500 SCU, or will it need to grow? I don't know if we can.
That's
Oof, tricky.
Yeah.
So-
Big boy question.
I'm not going to commit to anything either way there because we've not started work on it.
I'm a little hobbit boy,
We want
don't
to
you
do a bit
worry.
more concept work on it with the lessons we learned from the Defender. For its size, I wouldn't be surprised if it has less than that cargo capacity. Similar case with the Carrack when it went down from 1,000 to 480 or 450 odd.
456,
We've
you
learnt a
scrub.
lot since those early days. The metrics have changed. That's a lot of cargo. It will probably go down because the other way of just making the ship bigger to fit, that is already pretty big. So it's already
The ship is
260
big.
meters in 2 axes, which
Yeah,
is
it's like a couple
I think
merchantmen at this point.
the widest ship we have because
see-
of those
Do you see 160?
wings.
Yeah.
If we start making it bigger lengthways to fit that in,
Oh, Michael,
then it's
thank you
gonna
very
be
much. All the money.
humongous, and then you lose the benefits.
Appreciate it.
Again, for the same reasons we tried to keep the Carrack at the same size, was you make those ships
La,
huge,
la, 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 la.
you limit where they can go, and it's a mobile trading outpost. So it sort of needs to be more compact to fit places.
Yeah, you get that successful as a merchantman at that point. That's when you build your warehouse ship behind that follows along, carrying all the stuff. Then you move it over, and then you sell it. And it's kind of like if you're that successful. So let's go to another question from
Smaller
the
than
chat.
I thought.
We heard of the mole at CitizenCon, and it has been said that it will be fly ready when released. But will it be gameplay ready too? So will all the mining functionality
These are good
be on
questions.
board when it comes to light?
Yes, so it uses a lot of the same tech as the Prospector does. So it's got 3 mining cabs that use very similar multi-purpose, like they can mine and they can tractor beam. We had to do some code in the background to allow like 3 mining beams to go into 1 cargo grid, but it does everything that the
3 mining
Prospector
beams,
can do. It's got
1
slightly
cargo grid.
larger. It's got what we're calling size 2 mining heads rather than size 1. So they are stronger, they go further, they can do a bit more than a Prospector.
What happens if you cross the streams?
We tried.
It's not like Ghostbusters.
We don't talk about those people
Okay.
anymore.
I think we need to name those size 2 mining lasers.
Size 2 mining heads
so
go
here's a
go
question
further
for you, Paul.
than Prospector.
When
Okay, that's good to
designing
know.
more industrial ships versus designing
Said that to
kind
Salty
of
Mike
combat
yesterday.
ships, is it easier
Insightful.
because they have a specific role to kind of imbibe that versus a general
Insightful.
kind of fighting, or is it trickier, or how does the fact that it has a job that it's intended to do affect the concepting?
That's a good question. I think,
Is that
I
good
mean,
volume-wise for
the
them?
nature of Argo anyway is, I don't know, it's a style that we all sort of enjoy anyway. It's that industrial kind of thing. So it's just, I guess it's more complex. Like, I mean, the trick is really with this ship, it was, we could have gone a really simple route and just turned it into, I don't know, a mobile mining platform in terms of it looked like an oil rig kind of thing, and it got some pods attached to it. But really, the trick is how to make this interesting, right? How to make it into something that we haven't already seen before, because nobody wants that. I don't, that's always
crossing
the
the back
sort
of
of
my head.
mantra. If it's been done before, we don't want to do it.
Rub the
But
baldness
then,
of my head.
there's always that familiarity
you.
that people like. Chris likes the ships to look, to sort of behave how they should, how people expect them to be.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. And so it's always that sort of tussle, like how much can we push, how much can we shove, what can we throw in that Chris might like, that's new but not too wacky. So we did have a really funny one where early in the process, remember Mr. Tickle?
I remember
What?
Mr. Tickle.
Mr. Tickle?
So we had it so that the arms, because you have the two mining cabs on either side and then one at the front, we wanted to give full accessibility. So we made the arms super long, so the one on one side could actually reach over, and mine on this side. So we've got some really hilarious movies of just these huge arms. So it was named Mr. Tickle basically. So,
wow, creepy.
so it didn't stay, but I think where we ended up is really good.
Yeah, it's a cool looking ship.
Yeah, I do, and I love the coloring on it too. I can't wait to get my hands on it and give it a shot. Polaris,
I'll take questions in a
what's the
bit.
deal?
Just straight in there.
Yeah, no, like
The watch partying this first.
no front play.
No,
We're past that.
Again, it's not in active production, so there's no update on it at the moment.
I know that everyone
What
in
ship
the
was
company
that?
is required to look at a picture of the Polaris for a couple
Polaris.
seconds each day, just to remind us. Make sure
And
it's
go,
in
I
our
love you.
mind. What's the status of the Caterpillar door elevators?
That's an interesting one because the reason they're like they are at the moment, they clamshell open but they don't go all the way down, is because of a limitation with the elevator system we have at the moment, which we've not fully resolved, but we are on the cusp of
good job, Michael.
improving.
We'll talk about your
because
potato
essentially
shop
it
in a
needs to be a
minute.
two-state elevator where the door opens, so you can have it like that, and then goes down a second one. The tricky bit is it has so much hydraulic piston work on this bit that our transit system, which you see in all the landing locations, it can't deal with that at the moment. So we're having to expand the transit system, because transit system is not just used for those trains that go between
Hello.
like all the Lawville gates. We actually use it in the ships as well. So if you saw at CitizenCon, the Carrack has elevators, lifts inside with building block screens. Those are the lifts that have multiple stops, which is what we need for the exterior bit. But the current limitation is we can't do complex animated scale geometry alongside that, which when we do that, then we can get that. Then we can make all the ship doors, like the Caterpillar main entrance lift, as well as a similar one where it's got a big piston system. And that means we can have grids on elevators, which means loading your vehicles in and not having them fly off into space becomes a lot more successful.
With the elevator improvements that we've seen coming on, thanks to the fabulous new building blocks UI text that we see in the elevators now and there, is that kind of stuff coming towards the ship as well, with how we interact?
Yeah, any ships that have the building blocks,
Cool.
or have the transit system as their main elevator, will be able to now set up with the building blocks UI. So the Carrack will be almost certainly
Glad
the
people
first
enjoy
one that comes out
Shadow.
with that,
Happily shield for them.
because we want to solve it all on that. That's our test case for doing
Talk
it in
about
ships.
I'm testing their new stuff at the moment.
What
from
about
a
like
UI point of view, at least.
going back to physicalizing like the interactions for doors and such like that? Like what comes to mind is the Cutlass door that has that open close panel right next to the ramp. Is that going back to interacting with that versus looking at the ramp itself, or?
Yeah, that's something we need to do a pass on like, across the board, because we've got a very unclear mix of look at the door, look at the button, look at either of them.
Good question,
Look
Ted.
at somewhere outside. And as we've talked about, Chris always wants things to be physicalized. So we will probably go to you look at a button to open all the doors. We just need to make sure that button is clear. Like, we don't want to open a door here with a button that's over here. It makes everyone's just going to get really confused by just standing in front of the door, hammering F, trying to get out, whereas we need to make it clear if we're going to go that way.
Is that something the concept team is thinking about now, that like we're doing the physicalized interactions and trying to get away from more of the magical inner thought stuff?
Good question. I mean, yes, we have, like, on the, what was the towing vehicle, the SRV.
But yeah, Ted, I would expect.
We considered on that.
Nice one, auto gimbal
It's sort of
for it.
one of the things
I'll
that
tell
it's
you
one
why
of the
in a
sort of
bit.
little things that does affect
Thanks
quality
for the
of
sub.
life that often gets missed out in terms of,
Leaderman.
with a concept
1, 2, 3,
there are
4.
so many things to think about to try and solve.
Oh
Just
yeah.
Generally bigger issues, and so the deadline is just getting closer and closer and closer and closer. But in terms of just functionality, yeah, I mean, we are sort of trying to make
it easier on the interiors to solve
yeah. I mean, normally the buttons go next to the door, and that's it. It's just the excuse me, when it's particularly tall vehicle.
Do we just have this magical thing that just drops down like a button on a bit of rope that you?
So yeah, it's about how to signpost. If it's going to be on a landing gear leg or something, it's about how we sort of, how we work it out. I guess we do need to have a conversation.
Any old Cutlass owners will remember the magical blue button on the rear landing gear leg to open
No,
up
DS,
the
we
rear ramp that
didn't
people
find out
spent
anything
hours
more
trying to
about
find.
extra game packages and NPC crew. No. We did
So
try.
let's go now to another question from the chat. Will it be possible to sabotage a ship from the inside by removing or shooting components?
Absolutely.
Oh, sweet.
So you'll have different levels of sabotage. So you could just flat out, if it's a size 1 or size 0 like vehicle or small item, they're man portable. So you could literally open the hatch, pull
it
the
out,
entire thing out, chuck it out the window if you want it to be really trollish. Or you can damage it, you can shoot it, it will damage it a bit more, degrade the performance. Or you could just pull out like the sub-items inside, which
that would be...
they give a buff to the item's performance, which the player is probably used to using. So you take out all the buffs, then it starts going down, and you damage it a bit more, weaken it a bit more, just go around the ship, tinkering with all these things.
Oh man, that's going to be great when that comes.
I wonder if there's remote charges for that.
Man, I can see some missions. Man, make a little subcomponent that, like, very stealthily ruins a ship.
Can you restrict access?
You'll be able to restrict access. So with like the security panel, you'll be able to say, like, I'm locking all the doors. Like,
okay.
Some joker's on board my ship doing something, so I'm going to lock all the doors. And then I, as the captain, will just unlock them one by one and go. Nope,
So you will have remote access with the security system.
Yeah, that's like restricted to the main doors.
They did say that before.
The individual hatches on there.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll talk about physicalized components in a bit. They talked about it a little bit.
The Carrack exterior altered your plans for the ship going forward. Oh, I guess that means a little bit of the kind of hubbub around the forums and stuff. I don't know how much you guys...
Was there a hubbub?
There was a hubbub?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. I guess people have been voicing their opinions about the changes to the Carrack since the original sail concept art, and it's been...
He's so democratic.
Of course, like all our ships, when it goes from original concept to final release, things we learn, we change things, we grow, become better people.
Yeah, this is the All About Ships live stream that's currently live. I wanted to...
I'll let John talk about this.
Little watch party in a bit, talk about it afterwards.
This is a panel as well, because we sort of preemptively knew that there would be a hubbub about it, so we spent a lot of time in our CitizenCon panel,
we can
which
just
is
leave
now
it there.
available to watch.
Yeah, let's point people towards that.
even since that, there's been a few extra things that we want to look at just based on the sort of
the feedback
quibbles.
And I think also because the ship wasn't finished, but we were showing it, so it creates confusion about sort of what our final target is going to be.
The
I didn't mind it too much.
The demo
I preferred the old engines, but the new ones weren't that awful.
The detail
when
on the exterior,
they weren't finished.
It was a lot more detailed than you could see on the stream, which didn't help.
Yeah, I mean we've done some stuff actually today that you've not seen, I don't think, that I need to run past you.
So we want to stick to the release date rather than go right. Let's spend another 6 months changing everything. We want to stick to that release date. So we're doing some very minor sort of low. I was going to say low budget, but that's
low hanging fruit.
Low hanging fruit.
I guess it's obviously you have two camps of people. You have the old school and the new school. You have people like what came out originally and what was shown. And so
everyone always likes the thing before.
Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of, for me, like I'm just talking me personally here. I'm not representing anybody else. But there were some things that I think were missed off. There are easy.
I love that
we
cat
can
in the top left.
Back in. And there's just again when you really drill down and sort of look at some of the lines and how some of the surfaces interact with each other. There's lots of simple things we can do to sort of bring it back, lose a little weight, and adds, I think, what fans are sort of expecting on this ship.
It's absolutely not going to go back to the thinness of the original concept, because to do that, we would have to cut features wholesale out of the ship. And if it comes down to cutting the visuals a bit versus cutting gameplay that's been promised, then
well, it's not even cutting the visuals. Like I like the look of the new Carrack, but I think
it's not going to be a massive, not
slightly awkward Carrack conversation going on.
Transform into looking like John Crew. It's not that kind of level of transformation. I can never be that good looking, but but it'll just be, I think, just there's some easy wins in there for sure, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to
I saw John Crew smile at CitizenCon as well, like genuinely.
Not finagling.
Do that as well.
Okay,
so in conclusion, we've been seeing the feedback. We also had our own thoughts to begin with because the Carrack was still a work in progress, and now we're gearing up for the big release, and I'm very excited to be able to fly that soon. So speaking of the Carrack, we talked about swappable pods during the presentation. Can you talk a little bit more about their function?
The swappable pods.
High level loose about their function. So we built them as modular ones. The ones you saw in our panel and you'll see it release are the bog standard cargo ones. They have an elevated gantry through it, so you get more cargo underneath. One of the earlier versions we had no gantry, and the SEU capacity of the Carrack at that point was low 300s, high 200s. So by putting that gantry in, gave us almost 200 extra SEU across the ship, which is good. But like I say, they're modular, so we can do other versions in the future. One we've thought about,
the Carrack currently,
it's not going to come with the release, is a ballista actually fits lengthways in those things.
What?
Squeaky tight, but it does fit.
Wow.
Ballista.
You can do that. There's been talk of doing like a little science lab area. I think that was in one of the original texts that you and Dave wrote, perhaps, on the Carrack mini story.
Oh, yeah.
So science lab gets an exploration ship. Makes sense. You drop off a little science pod to do your experiments on the surface.
Okay.
Height it out of there. But for now, all we're planning and committing to doing is the base cargo ones.
Cool.
Like the Caterpillar, we'll talk about more out there. But for now, those pods, when we're at the point where we're actually going to physically make them.
Sounds good.
So you could drop off all 3 pods?
You can drop off all 3 if you want, and you can still get around the ship because there's a lift at both ends of the where the pods drop off. You don't need those pods in place to fly.
Right, okay. We haven't even looked at what the ship looks like without the pods.
Yeah, it's going to look interesting.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. let's see. With the Hercules Starlifter on the roadmap for 4.0, are all the variants being worked on simultaneously or just one variant?
Oh, perfect.
So we're just going to work
Good
on the
questions.
base one. The CE2, I think, is the base one. I've got so many ship names in my head at the moment. So we're doing the base one first, and then we will do the other two after that. They may not be straight after it. They may be straight after it. It depends how the base one goes. And if for some reason that ship moves around on the schedule, it's probably because we're going to just lump them all together and deliver them all as one chunk rather than individually.
But that really makes the sense to do it that way, to do it kind of the sequential of get your core ship done, because you learn so much during that process that if you're doing all at the same time, you would just be redoing work multiple times. Yeah,
and the A2 and the M2 have so much in common with the base one.
Okay, that's good to know.
You can't really start them before you've done the base one. When I say like moving around or delivering them all at once, I mean more that we would do all three, or do the C2 first, then the other two, and then hold them until one patch and give them all in one go. Rather
the Pisces
than
will be able to use jump points.
In another patch, the A2 in another patch.
Gotcha. It's not super intended to be used.
Let's go back to the chat
mapping
questions.
huge distances or anything. It should
that can
probably be okay for them.
Purchasable in 3.8 or something for a later patch. Like, because right now only mining ships can scan for minables, I believe, correct?
It's correct, but I believe there are some items already that allow you to. You can buy some radars or scanners from certain shops that do that already, because I have seen people on Spectrum and Reddit using non-mining ships to detect them.
So, like the terrapins.
That is more of a gameplay.
Oh, that's more of a gameplay question? That's fine. So we'll have to confirm that. They might already be in. We might be coming soon, I guess. We're going to leave that as a question.
A very similar answer for the Pisces Q&A, which I
probably need to update my optimization guide a bit.
So at the moment,
3.8 comes out, I'll do a proper pass of it.
I think it is locked to some items, but in the future we perhaps want to give it to all the items and just vary their ability at doing it. So maybe all ships could detect minables in the future, but maybe that's only 10 meters away for a really rubbish one. Whereas if you got the super duper turbo scanner, you could detect it 10 kilometers away rather than buying this scanner can do it, this scanner can't do it.
That kind of specialized scanning gameplay is something I'm very much looking forward to. Like, you know, the idea of maybe having a scanner that can find biological life samples or like harvestables on a planet versus the minables versus one that's specialized for ships and combat and all that kind of stuff seems like a really cool choice to have to make when outfitting your ship.
Give me more.
Misk Endeavor, what's up with that?
Just rolling his surprise. Again, nothing's in active development on that. It's one of those ships like the Carrack where we're going to have to go back and do a load of concept for it, because it was done a long time ago. The metrics may not be the same as they were when that was done. I can't remember who did the original Endeavour.
Was it Jim?
Jim or George?
I think it was Jim, but I think it's
remetricing.
The overall style is good. I think it's just a matter of it's just a matter of what, can we walk through the thing, and are the rooms in it that need to be in it?
Why not ask the question? What ships are currently in active development?
We found like the doors.
They are. One question.
Not quite human door sized anymore. Like they just come up to here. It's like as soon as you start fixing all the doors, then all the corridors have to get wider. When we get to
that's quite a big one there, right? That's more like a end level kind of
explorer science hospital. It's a big spine with a shop on the front that you can outfit however you want.
I mean, generally we're sort of starting small and making our way up the scale.
How's that been, like, as we go down in time, as our skills improve, as our ships become more impressive, going back to those old concepts? Like, we talked about the Redeemer a little bit earlier in the stream. Like, is that a fun challenge? Is it a little bit daunting because of all the attachment and feelings that go with these old concepts?
It depends on the ship. I mean, the Redeemer was quite a nice one, actually. Went touch wood. For me, it went smoothly. So But there are other ones that are just really quite tricky, just because they're so sort of fundamentally broke, possibly. You know, the knock-ons are just massive, and so it's always a little bit hard, sort of, you know, working on the older stuff.
I'll have your Aussie dollars, Robert Johnston. Don't you worry.
You know,
there's attachment to those.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I love you.
Yeah, there's attachment, and then it's also okay knowing where you can push, where you can shove, because obviously Chris will have his favorite points as well, so we don't want to remove those by accident.
Ship stuff live. I'm loving the little pictures the dude is doing up here.
Be like fundamental.
These are fucking amazing.
Fundamental shifts, but when things get larger or fatter or longer, then obviously the vibe of the ship changes, and so that can have quite a knock on. So then it's okay. How do we visually rebalance it?
It's really awesome because I think a lot of times for game projects, this is the kind of stuff that you would only be seeing a year after release when like the fancy art book comes out, and you get to see like that early concept all the way to what it was in game. But
it's weird why I think they're doing a lot to straight to flyable.
Very much so,
which seems weird, right?
That learning process. So I think that's a little bit unique to us, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of our USPs.
that level of interaction from the staff and backers, where it can have a difference, is something you don't really find anywhere else.
Go us. Will ships functioning as carriers be able to refuel and possibly rearm the vessels they carry? Yes. I think we just talked about this recently. Why did I see an answer to this somewhere?
In the Pisces Q&A.
About being able to refuel the ships.
I think that's an answer for an upcoming Kraken privateer Q&A.
Okay.
May or may not be live at this point.
Oh. Can someone confirm in my little Teams thing whether that's live already? We talk about that? Maybe I read that early. Let's go to a chat question. Some of the best in show ships have bugs with their decals. Is that going to be fixed?
Yes, they should all be fixed for 3.8 when that comes out. There was a few problems that we had I was at the venue at CitizenCon on the Friday night, about an hour before we were pushing the 372 live build, and we found a load of problems with the best in show ships that we had to roll back to a previous version just to get the patch out, because we were ready to set QA off and test in the patch, and we found this. Like the Caterpillar stopped flying, for example, which is a pretty big problem to have.
Yeah,
because it's a differently named ship.
And then we fixed it again for 3.8.
So properly.
You should see the vast majority of those bugs fixed. Like the decals are not quite aligned. The Cutlass has some of the fuchsia in the wrong place. So did the Caterpillar, and some of the intensities of them were not quite right. But that's all fixed for 3.8.
Oh, awesome! Go us! Took care of that one. I feel I had a pen and cross it off. So let's see. We answered that one. What is the current plan for either spawning vehicles with other vehicles inside? Would we choose these to spawn at the same time, or once the ship's loaded in?
Yeah, my beard's itchy. Sorry,
what's going on with
typically
that?
I trim and
it's going to be identical to how you customize your ship through the PMA. PMA, it's just going to show up as essentially another item port that the vehicle is attached to. So in the Constellation and Merlin scenario, the Merlin would come attached to that item port by default. You could unattach it if you didn't want to drag it around, or you could swap it out for the Archimedes if you wanted to. Same for ships that carry ground vehicles. They would just have an item port in the ground that goes, I'm a ground vehicle item port that's a size 1 ground vehicle, so I can put in a Cyclone, I can put in a PTV, I can put in a Rover, that might be size 2, but it's the same restrictions as we have on the VMA and the
I've
other
not tried beard
customization.
oil.
So
should I try beard oil?
Yet,
not long enough, is it?
You bring up your Mobilglass, change it,
Got
and
a
then when
beard
you
brush,
spawn
that's
it,
fine.
that's what comes in. If you customize it after you've spawned it, then you have to store it and respawn it.
Okay, cool.
Or just load stuff in willy-nilly afterwards.
So yeah, if that fuel question was on the Pisces QA has been released. So go out there.
I think it's on the Kraken one. But
you did say, you said Kraken Privateer. Sorry, I misheard.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot.
I'm pretty sure
it's
the
in
answer there is
it's in the Pisces Q&A.
Out the
mothership.
Which makes sense. Yeah, you just fill it from the fuel tank on board.
Yeah.
It's probably in both.
So, what is the future plans for the 600i Explorer interior?
So yeah, this is another one that sort of fell into the. We showed something and backers weren't too enthused by the 600i, and we learned a lot for the 890. We said we're going to go back and do stuff to the 600, which we will.
I mean, it's more of a dressing pass, right?
It's dressing. I know there was a lot of suggestions for that central area where
Just a dressing pass,
people
nothing
wanted
super major, I
a
see.
big glass bottom to look out the bottom of the ship. They wanted more windows. They wanted like a double-story shark tank or something like that.
Right.
Just to make it feel a bit more
customizable.
Will it be possible to refuel the Pisces?
Especially.
Yes, the Carrack and other ships, dedicated hangars, will be able to refuel the ships that are landed
as we went through
directly within them.
It will have a pass. Both of them will have a pass in the future, but it's not a priority to do.
Yeah, because it's already out already, so we're gonna find a time to slot that in, but it's not quite clear when yet. What's happening with the Hull C?
So we are one step closer now to do it on the tech side. So we've got rid of one of the blockers that we had. So now we're down to we really need docking, which is a step closer since we fixed the last blocker, which is actually CR's big physics refactor that he's been working on and is now in the game. So docking is now a lot simpler to do, which really helps because it was a big pain before that.
Good job, Chris Roberts. Fixing physics.
We need the supersized cargo doing, so we don't want to spawn a Hull C with 4,000 individual SEU boxes. That's just going to tank the frame rate in the server. So we need cargo to come in bigger than one SEU boxes, which benefits the game as a whole. And then the last bit, which the engine team will be working on soon, is allowing physics grids and vis areas to be transformable at runtime. So obviously the whole C goes like that. We need that central spine area to have its physics grid go with it, because otherwise you're going to go halfway down it and you're going to fall out into space. So
Bam.
Again, those three big tech hurdles need to be overcome, and then we need a few months on the art side just to finish off. So we've got it essentially to final art, which is the 100% pristine version of the ship is done. Squadron use that for their scenarios that they have that need it. So you'll see on the Squadron roadmap the Hull C's there.
Chris would have fixed physics for
fun. Not sure it's on the PU one now, or they're on like different progression amounts.
Not accuracy.
Because Squadron don't need the docking, they don't need the supersized cargo, they don't need to see it land. They can just get by with what we
fidelity.
have.
Fidelity based
but the
physics.
PU needs everything for it to function.
Cool. And what's up with the Hull D? No, I'm just kidding. I love when we add that secondary kind of movement on ships, like the hull expanding, or like with the Reliant, with the wings transforming. That's always something that emerges from the concept phase, right?
Yes.
Cutlass Red is going to be available in January 2020 as part of a 3.8 branch.
Yeah, it's always that, like we mentioned earlier, it's always that. How do we make it cool? How do we make it interesting? How do we do something that's hopefully not been done before?
Free Jared.
And then how do we make John's life difficult?
This is amazing.
So there's always a hey John, can I do this?
Please no.
So it's always pushing and shoving. So
yeah,
that's the part I like.
Interesting thing with the pipeline is that now that we have so much established stuff, that it's always a little more efficient to go with what has already been done before, like reusing the seat or the cockpit from a previous ship and saying this is a stylistic choice. But then at the same time, we always want to push ourselves and we enjoy the more interesting kind of diversions from that.
You will be able to soon spawn ships and vehicles in ships. They literally talked about that a minute ago.
Hamstrung.
There'll be item ports and you'll be able to put them in them.
Because you don't want to be creating extra work for downstream teams, but then there are just some vehicles that are just like, okay, we're just going to have to create something new for this. because it's just part of, it's one of the main ingredients. So without it, it just wouldn't be as cool.
Yeah, there's times you just have to bite the bullet, and you go knocking on Bender's door and go,
please, sir.
Please, can we have a new character animation for this super cool entrance? You never know what reaction you can get from that.
Speaking of, this goes to a question from chat. Have you ever considered the ability to be able to vault into the Cutlass side door?
Yes, so we have that sort of on the Valkyrie, but it's set up in a less than ideal way. There are actually ledge grabs on there, and it's something we want to do for the Cutlass as well.
Cool.
It's quite a way up. Like the Valkyrie has a little side step that falls down to enable it.
Yes.
The Cutlass is,
yeah.
You're gonna have to be fit.
I appreciate the love. Thank you very much.
Do a muscle up into the ship.
What are the systems required for Star Citizen ship combat move to time to disable over time to kill, particularly for multi-crew ships, or is the system we have currently the intention for the final game? And we're going to stop.
Good questions here. I'm liking these questions. Physicalized
what
components.
we have now is definitely not the final intention.
Yeah.
Two big things to moving to time to disable rather than time to kill. One, physicalized components, like we talked about earlier. So we have to have the items in the right places and be physicalized so you can target them. And two is moving to a more, I'm going to keep saying physically based damage system. So something we've talked about in the past, and we're still going to do it. So rather than bullets doing 10 damage, they come with a velocity, they come with an energy and a mass, and the game works out how much impact that is, which gives the penetration, which over time weakens the structure of bits of the ship rather than just ticking down a health pool. So when we have all that, then you naturally get items failing, which impacts other areas of the ship rather than just I hit the Gladius on the nose with my fist a million times, and eventually
the whole thing is going to shoot. Yeah.
Whereas this will just be, you'll be hitting it forever, and it's like your impact is not enough to do anything. So
yeah, it will be sad when the day comes when you can't just take your pistol out and shoot at one spot for a minute and have the whole ship blow up. But I guess it will if you hit the right spot down the road with the physicalized damage, which will be cool. You have to shoot the little fuel cap or whatever.
Perfect.
Now, in terms of like implying how tough a ship is, how does that balance between the design and the, the art
good at asking
of how
questions.
a ship looks? Like, is that in the discussion of like this is supposed to be a tougher
Andy
ship, so we want to make it look that way with more bolted on parts or thicker joints and stuff like that?
My streaming face.
I guess we factor it in quite a lot. I mean, there's always that discussion of what design want, and it's like what's the what's the ship's special ability, or what's the hook. And so if something has extra armor or can take a pounding, we generally try and put that in the visuals. Like the Terrapin.
Compare the Terrapin to like the Pisces.
The Nautilus. Yeah. Like they all have that sort of heavy feel. I guess we've got one maybe coming out soon that's got some of that too. So that's always taken into account.
Maybe the Ares is bigger than I think.
Skip ahead a few questions. This physicalized damage system that we're talking about, do you have any view on when that might be coming to the PU? It's on the S42 roadmap apparently. I'm going to trust that this question is right. But is that just this year?
People have started doing the initial groundwork on it. So from a design side, we've worked out all the formulas and the parameters that we need and the materials that are going to impact it. And we're in the very early stages of having some very brainy programmers work out all the math behind it.
So it's definitely slowly progressing. We don't know quite when it's going to hit yet, but it should have a pretty cool impact on the game when it comes along.
It's gonna change a lot.
Will players be able to have the ability to hail their ship when they're in a runabout, like a smaller vehicle, a snubcraft, a ground vehicle, and have the ramp open up or have the hangar open up?
These are the questions that was in the places Q&A.
Personally, that's something I think we should do. It's just like, you can do it now with your Tesla and your cars. You can get them to come to you and turn on the engine and start. So it seems like something we should do, but it's not one of those things that I personally can go, yes, we're going to do that, and we're going to do that next week.
Yeah, so something to explore possibly as a cool option of having like a mini ATC aboard your craft that you can hail and.
Yeah, because one of the traps that people fall into is they think that this thing, like that example, using it on your vehicle, that's a vehicle feature, but it could be, but we need to build it in a way
I didn't think they were going to do that.
The whole game can benefit.
They were going to
so
actively
if we
avoid
built
that.
it vehicle specifically, you could be outside your research station that you've built with your Pioneer, trying to talk to it on your mobile glass, and it's going, well, I'm not a vehicle, so I don't care. So it needs to be built with a general gameplay team that works in all the scenarios. So I could be stood and call a hangar to open. I can call my ship to open. I can call my buggy to open. I can call my habs to change the air in them or do something.
Yeah.
Get the bed heated up to a nice toasty temperature. Will the Prowler's phalanx shields be functional when it goes flyable?
So it's going to be like the Defender, where they're going to have not the full phalanx shield behavior, but a very it's either unique or it's not very unique, a different behavior to our current shields. So the Defender ones, which I'm sure you can correct me if
placeholder
Tavarin
placeholder unique shields.
The Banu borrow from all sorts of cultures.
Borrow. They have a very quick sort of. You can move them around the faces very quickly, which sort of gives that phalanx shield behavior, and you can also harden them very quickly. Which, to get the best of, you need a second person sort of managing your shields. But the upside of that is they block all the damage. Like unlike all the other shields, they block 100% of ballistic ammo coming through. They block 100% of energy ammo. So if you've got that second person doing that shield management job, you can do pretty well with them. And it's going to be that same sort of stuff in there in the Prowler for release.
That's interesting. No,
art-wise, how's
100%
it been
no
approaching
piercing.
these Xeno ships versus the human manufactured ones?
It's tough.
I was expecting like fun, exciting, but just a deep sigh, and it's oh man.
They've just been kicking our ass. They're just more. Just by the very nature of them, they're complex because, me personally, I don't want to fall into that trap of so the race build their ship and their architecture and their cups and saucers all in this specific way. Like it's always nice to sort of have that breadth of their universe. Obviously with the human stuff, we're all familiar with it, so it's a lot easier. Like, okay, this is industrial, this is luxury, this is whatever.
Aliens would look at us and be like, they have no stylistic cohesion at all. Humans are all over the place.
So it's we've done a lot of work. And we still need to do more work, basically. Like, I think it is just tough because it's.
Talk more about the areas in a minute. Develop my ideas.
Ways that your brain just isn't.
Good job for your longer beard, dude.
And it's like, okay, and I think where we've ended up for the Prowler is super awesome. Like, we took what we did years ago, and we were time bound at that point. We did the best we could.
31 seconds.
But what's happened to the interior now and how that's sort of expanded in terms of its style is a real nice feature that we can put on any other ships.
The birdcage aspect of it is something that was never there in the original concept and adds a huge amount. And
you mean the tree? The 3D printed tree kind of.
I think it looks like the inside of bird skeletal structures, that kind of cross section.
Yeah, and the same with the Banu. The Banu, took quite a while for us to get the Defender to where it is.
Yeah, the production side of the Defender is obviously, we talked about it before, that it just took a long time just because of the two styles. Like the inside is very different visually to the outside. The outside is sort of this beaten copper metal crab shell, and the inside is like a full-on
Geiger-esque
interior. And normally you just wouldn't have those two things next to each other, but we had to somehow make them transition without just looking like someone had just slapped a metal shell on an alien.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot more work that we can do. Like we've done, it was either last year or this year, time just flies. We did a whole nother pass on the Defender interior spaces. And that's moved us along a certain amount. And now we need to do essentially what I hope will be the last round, where we properly define for the artists, okay, everything works like this, engineering is like this, habitation's like this, lighting is like this, the materials are like this. And so...
Did you mean the merchantman, not the defender?
Oh, yeah, sorry, the merchantman, sorry.
Free Jared!
No.
Yeah, because even though the Defender had helped set some kind of Banu guidelines, the Merchantman, it's more of a civilian ship versus the more military combat ship of the Defender, so there's differences there and just so much more areas than you have in the Defender.
Yeah, and it's just knowing where to experiment, basically, what to push on, what to retain. So it's just that constant iteration, refinement. I mean, I think once the Merchantman comes out, I think it should be pretty special.
Yeah.
But it's it's going to be complex. It will.
Once I can sleep again after the Carrack is done, the Merchantman is the next one.
Will take its place. Yeah.
In your nightmares, dreams, wake up in a cold Merchantman.
Good for them.
We got about 3 minutes left.
Cool.
Trying to see if we have a good.
Then we'll go through the questions that you guys have asked.
If you could just quickly say the status of all ships. No.
That should have been the first question. Ships in production.
Somewhere between not started and done.
I think a point here and little notes from Jared is just, setting that because we can't work on all the ships at once. I know there's a lot of ships that you put a big investment as a purchaser of a supporter of this one ship and you can't wait for it to come out, and sometimes it can be a little frustrating waiting for it. But we are moving our way through the pipeline. We're seeing stuff come out, and so
essentially the vehicle team globally is about 5 individual teams. Those teams could be one person, they could be 5 people on a team. So at any one time we can only really be working on 5 things, and given our quarterly release structure plus our squadron requirements, sometimes you won't hear from us for a while. That's probably because we're doing something for squadron or we're working on something that people don't know about. And if one team's working on squadron, one team's working on a straight to flyable that isn't announced, that only leaves 3 people, and usually we're 6 to 9 months, if not 12 months ahead from the stuff we're working on now. You won't see till you won't see released until the middle of next year. So there's only so much we can do at any one time, and things do change. It's a very fluid situation.
Yeah. But I think, the upside is that, we're solving a lot of problems, aren't we? So basically when the ships do come out, they're going to be, we'll be maintaining that quality bar that we're trying to hit.
Nice.
Final question. Do you think I should free Jared and release him once more?
No, just leave where it is.
Yeah. Just.
All right, there you have it. Well, thank you both so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy days. And thanks for letting me be your special guest, everyone, in watching live.
Any other special announcements?
I hope you all have a fantastic week, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for all your support of Star Citizen. It is so appreciated.
Oh, no.
Have a good one.
Okay, let's start. See you later. Bye. I've got a black screen for my... Oh, what did I do? Media source. Make sure that it's not... November? Ah ha 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 ha. Ah ha ha. No. Gameplay cuts? Perfect. That's what I wanted. Cool. So, thanks for watching that with me. I appreciate it. Some of the more interesting ones I will stream. I started watching it and then went, I should probably stream this, because I'm supposed to be streaming when this is on. Well, I wanted to be streaming when it was on. So I thought I'd stream it and chat it while I was there a bit. I'll work out some form of method so that I can be more interactive with that. Someone asked with there's lots of questions. I'll go through as many of them as I can. A couple of my things broke while I was watching, so I've lost some of the chat, but don't worry too much about that. Let's put some potential Pedro on. Potential Camacho. Pedro. Bam. Bam. Perfect. That'll probably be alright. Volume wise. Oh, thank you very much. Anethcom, thank you very much. Much appreciated. So 3.8 and persistence. Someone asked, will I be able to keep my ships that I own in game in 3.8? So, there's going to be a reset when 3.8 goes live. Okay? Bam. Everything's reset as per normal with the major patch release. They are then putting in, or at least plan to put in, platform persistence for 3.8 onwards. That means that they are able to save the database between patches. Okay? Doesn't mean they will, but they are able to. Now, minor patches will see... Thank you very much, Drawed Hacksaw. Minor patches will almost certainly not see any major resets. So they might reset, but you'll be able to keep your Alpha UEC and Alpha UEC purchases between minor patches. That's the idea. And some major patches. We do not know to what extent major patches will be able to have platform persistence. The hope is that, yeah, you'll keep them on 3.9. I suspect they will test that in the PTE phase or with 3.9. If it doesn't work very well because there's issues with porting the databases across or bugs and problems that occur with that, then they'll reset them. So you're going to see less resets, and as they refine that, less and less and less resets. So you might be able to keep them permanently now from 3.8 onwards, but they will reset them at some point still. Sort of. That's all I got for that, because we don't know for sure all of that jazz. Thank you very much for all the subs. People sharing rewards with people in chat. I don't even know how that works. Hope that volume isn't too loud of the music. I'll turn it down slightly more. But yeah, so over the last few days I've been playing some Halo Reach, a little bit of Apex Legend, a game called To Be Headed or Not To Be, which is a co-op. You can detach your head as a skeleton puzzle solving game, first person. It was quite fun to play with Kit, my mate. We played terrible games together, and it was not that bad. Really looking forward to next week playing Boneworks, and then next year playing Half-Life VR Alex. So both of those are premier VR titles that should be premium, good VR titles. It looks like. Also, Scotchbox, who I played some Star Trek with last year, has asked me to appear on stream with him playing Failspace, potentially this Saturday. So tomorrow that will be, wouldn't it? So I might do some of that. There's a new version of Failspace or something released for some VR stuff. We'll have a look at. But getting back to Star Citizen questions, as that's why 99% of you are here. I saw my Carrack. What they did to it was terrible. They halved the cargo and sold it for the Polaris. Nice. Norris. I'm very excited for Boneworks, though. What ships are currently not future or past, but currently are in active development? Oh, okay. Should have asked the devs that, not me. But that would have been the correct question to ask at the beginning of that live stream. So we can go over quickly what they said, though, because this will answer a load of people's questions, I suppose. AI blades are going to be a thing still. They're going to be working on them in the future. They are not in active development. These are modules that you put into your ship, like computer modules and modules you put in turrets that allow them to be sort of like auto-firing or firing at specific targets and that sort of stuff. Quite dumb compared to NPCs and humans, though. Ship components, they build metrics into all the ships now as part of their concept phase for when they have physicalized components. Physicalized components are working towards completion as well. There is a big art depth hurdle, though. You can sabotage components, remove them, all that sort of stuff. This will lead to disable rather than blow up and kill. So ships won't have artificial health pools. And they're also building a physical damage system. So weapons don't have necessarily a DPS that they do when they hit you. They travel, have mass and speed and energy behind them. And then based on what they hit and where they hit, they do damage or push through or whatever. So security panels are going to give you remote access to doors and things like that. The Redeemer, they are going to be working on it. It's not done yet. It's more of a gunship now with lots of turrets and guns rather than dropshippy. Corsair's not in active production. The bounty merchantman they said was 160 meters and 2 axes. It's a mobile trading post. It's going to be relatively compact for what it can do, but it's still going to be pretty big. The Argo Mole will be flight ready in 3.8's initial release. It does have larger mining heads than the Prospector, which are stronger and go further. Polaris not in active production. Caterpillar elevators will work at some point in the future. They are tweaking the Carrack further. They're taking feedback on it. They're sticking to a February 2020 release, though. Swappable pods for the Carrack and other ships are going to be a thing. The Carrack has 3 cargo pods with a gantry on them, which can be swapped for other things. Each of the pods has 152 SCU and gives the ship 456 in total. A ballista apparently fits in one of the cargo pods, which is pretty cool. I think they said that anyway. It's just going to be the Hercules Starlifter. Well, at least they've got the Hercules Starlifter C2 planned for 4.0 currently. It's possible they might jiggle stuff around so they do them all at the same time later or something like that. There's going to be lots of different types of scanner. The Endeavour is not in active development. It needs a lot of rework and metricing. Ships will be able to refuel, rearm, and repair their ships that are docked inside them, as long as they have a proper docking bay for that. The best in show ships will be getting their decals fixed for 3.8. Ships will be able to attach to other ships inside via item ports, so you'll be able to put a vehicle or a parasite ship or a other small ship in appropriate sized docking bays for those particular items in the future, and then spawn them with them. They are redoing some of the internals of the 600i with a sort of like dressing pass later. Not a huge rework, just making it a bit more in line with what people wanted. They are one step closer to the Hull C being in the persistent universe. So they had Chris Roberts and I assume other people working on a big physics refactor, which they has been one of the big sort of like blockers that they've now overcome. And now they need docking next and supersized cargo 2.0, so larger cargo containers. Physics grids are probably the biggest hurdle here, that they need physics grids and vis areas to be transformable at runtime. And then once they've done that, they can do final art for the Hull C. A ship is coming out soon that has heavier armor or something like that in mind. Something to do with taking damage differently or absorbing more damage. That's what it sounded like. I'm assuming this is going to be the Ares, a Crusader Ares ship that's sort of like been touted around a little bit. I thought it was going to be like an escort fighter, but maybe it is something heavier. Maybe it's not even a fighter. Maybe it's something bigger. I heard the term starfighter at CitizenCon, so my brain has immediately thought that the Ares is the starfighter. But Ares is God of War. It's spelled Ares as in A-R-E-S, not the star sign, but the God of War. They are considering allowing remote access to open doors, ramps, and ships and that sort of stuff. Maybe a mini air traffic controller in the future that would allow you to, you know, open your ramp up so you can get your ship on, your car on board or something. The Prowler will have some of its functionality when it goes live with placeholder unique shields that fully block damage. So they say fully block. The shields will still take damage though. They want to have the Banner Merchantman style fully fleshed out and more accurate. The ship's going to be quite complex. They're working on various things. Realistically, I think they said they could only be working on like 5 ships at any one time for the persistent universe. Some people are working on Squadron 42 stuff and building interiors, I know that. The stuff they are working on now won't be released until the middle of next year, though. So that was sort of like what they talked about during that live stream. But let me go through a load of the other questions that people had. I quite enjoyed that one. There was a lot of good questions asked. So what do we got? Oh my god. CitizenCon fleshed out a much more in-depth armor gameplay. I believe this depth creates an opportunity for CIG to start selling armor like ships. Do you think CIG will sell armor? It's possible that they would sell FPS gear and armor. But I don't know if they will. It's possible. I don't think it would be good for them PR-wise. They could certainly give it away as flair and stuff. They might as well just have that available in-game. It's going to be so much cheaper than a ship would be anyway, right? If they have some sort of like skins for that armor that's really intricate, very specific, unique skins, then maybe they can sell them much more readily. Is there any concept for refueling ships? So light fighters can refuel during flight, like the Air Force does it. I think the Starfarer is going to be able to refuel ships while on the move. There's drones that will be able to refuel ships as well. So, when will organization management, org bank account, etc. come in? They are working on more org features and more group gameplay for 2020. There's also, I believe, for 3.9, various economy systems coming into play with an account app manager for your Mobilglass and stuff like that, and lots more economy-based things. When are the next buyback tokens? Are they? Oh. Thank you very much, Vulcan. That was a different voice than I normally have set. How weird. Thank you very much, Vulcan. Much appreciated. You're a beautiful cannon man. Is it January for the next buyback tokens? Buyback tokens. Let's search my notes. Damn. January, April, July, October. I'll say. But January, yeah. Once the team mechanics are fleshed out, we'll be able to use another org membership. That's the plan, I believe, still. I mean, almost certainly. I mean, the stuff that I can't say with 100% certainty, even though I'm pretty sure that's the plan, and they would have to pretty much do that because there'd be too much pressure. But yeah, you should be able to use them when they're offline. You should have org hangars. You should be able to have shared assets and permission systems, allowing people to use certain things. Thanks for feeding our unhealthy addiction to Star Citizen. Do you or anyone in chat think or know if will get a PTU of 3.8 before the PU launch? You should see a wider PTU within the next couple of weeks. The plan is to have a live build before, I think, the 21st of December, because that's when CIG bugger off. But yeah, it should go through the normal procedures of a patch. Retaliator, best ship or bestest ship? When the modules are implemented for the Retaliator, and it gets a little bit of balance in Physicalized components, we'll talk more about it. The Retaliator, I think, was the first ship that got me really into Star Citizen with its modularity. I was like, ooh, like that. Hi, Board. When we will see the last two patches for the next year's roadmap? So what you're thinking about 4.1 and 4.2. And what will 3.8 server-side object container streaming, what will that improve, and when will they have more money? What? So there's lots of questions going on there. You beautiful overlord man. So server-side object container streaming version 1 is in 3.8. That allows them to have a larger gameplay area. It allows the servers to be more stable, less frame rate dependent on the server. So in areas where you have servers chugging to a halt because of the server, you should have more stable frames. It's not going to affect your max frames or anything that you would have had because of client object container streaming, but it will affect anything to do with the server. So basically, it makes the servers more efficient. But there might be loads of bugs with it and stuff, so we'll have to wait and see. Don't know when we are going to get 4.1 and 4.2. However, I would expect it after January now. I mean, we could see it, a small update after 3.8 goes live, but typically they have rescheduling meetings in January, and because of the way they're doing staggered development, they only really need to have once 3.8's gone live, 3.9 and 4.0 accurate, because that's their 6-month cycle done. And then in January, they can work out what exactly they sort of like have roughly planned for 4.1 and 4.2. With the melee and knockout thing, aren't people just going to be running around stations and knocking everyone out at terminals? As Armistice zones stand at the moment, I'm not sure if you can actually melee people. And if you could, it would be a crime. So Probably big. If you start punching people, you're going to get fined a lot and then shot a lot. Where do you think CitizenCon will be next year? I don't know. What will the digital goodie pack... what was the digital goodie pack armor and will it be in game? I think it was the thermal armor for walking around Microtech in. And it'll probably be available maybe in 3.8? I can look into that in slightly more detail. I did have somewhere in my notes about the armor. Is criminal gameplay going to offer enough missions and trading that it's justifiable not having to remove the crime stack? Yes! Should be hugely risk and rewardy. You might not get that sort of gameplay in the short term that you want, but they are adding more and more and more. And then they'll start balancing it a bit better. BoredGamer, you promised in April. You promised me in April 2019 that until April of 2020, we will have all fundamentals of the game ready for playing. You still believe in that statement? I promised you that we would have full fundamental... That we'll have a lot of the core. The game is playable. They're still tweaking some core things. Like... No. You're not going to have the full core systems. Because you're not going to have jump points. And that sort of stuff. You'll have a lot of that stuff in 2020. You'll have a lot more of the core of the game. But it literally depends on what you say the fundamentals of the game are. You could argue that we already have the fundamentals of the game, which is being able to travel and move. That's too much of an open generic statement. You can point me to a video where I've said that I can comment further. But I don't think I would have said, I promise in 2020, because that's not mine to promise. That would be a ridiculous thing to say. However, I could certainly say, I expect this and this and this based on the news and things, which I do all the time. I go by CIG's roadmaps and stuff, and I certainly get stuff wrong sometimes. So, apologies if I've misled you at all. Will we be able to customize armor to have org emblems on it and ranks on them? I think they said that they want to have customizable armor both on ships, hulls, and actual physical armor. They were working out ways of doing it previously, but I would expect that you could probably have emblems and decals and stuff on your armor as well in the future anyway. And there'll be some form of aftermarket customization system for that and ships. There's a lot of questions about that. Right. Do you agree? I think the most important features to implement right now are physicalized components and chip stealing making sense. Physicalized components, yes. A proper gameplay loop for criminal players fighting lawful players and ship stealing, I suppose, with that sort of does make sense. Sort of like make use of those scrapyards that they've got. They talked about the Orion. The Orion's not currently in active development. When do you think physicalized component system will be implemented into the PU? I suspect it's probably a priority at the moment. I would expect to see it next year. It's got to be, right? It's got to be pretty important to them. I mean, it's core to the game. Opinion, what do you think the MAR will go price-wise? Probably $300 is what I'm thinking. Seems reasonable at that sort of price, right? Will you be able to use the ship, medical ship, the Apollo, as a spawn point for anyone? Oh, so I think they want that sort of stuff in the future. I would like it shorter term, allowing you to spawn in your teammate or your own, like Cutlass Red and stuff. I think that's a really good idea. They did say that they wanted ships as spawn points in the future. Keep them as prisoners. I don't think so. I think that would be a crime. They need to balance that sort of stuff out, though, because I suspect people will try to do that. Almost certainly. Dark Galaxy, thank you very much for the chucking money at me. And the Deep Fryer, thanks so much for the subbing. Jay Calvin, thank you very much for the sub. Thank you very much for Droid Hacksaws for the host. Dark Galaxy, sorry I missed some of the stream, but here, buy yourself something nice. Oh, thanks. I will. Mate, I've got I've got a tailor-made suit and a tailor-made coat coming to me. Hopefully they'll be the right size. And next on the website, they had my sizes listed incorrectly when I looked back at the order. So I've emailed them, and they have responded. So hopefully I'll get adequately fitting suit and coat. It'll be pretty cool. What actions do you expect a prison breakout to include in the automated jail? So, in the gameplay we've seen of it, a cutlass flies down. So, it's sort of like underground in an area where the player can get to. The player has to memorize the tunnels to a good degree, have the appropriate gear so that they've got enough oxygen, like oxygen pens, and then get to the ship before they run out of oxygen, effectively. The idea of the breaking out there is that there might be a couple of ways to break out, but you need to know the route you're going. You need to, and those routes are built to exhaust your oxygen. Question: if they let us have custom shops in the Kraken, will you endorse BoredGamer Potato Emporium? You've asked that a couple of times, so I didn't answer you earlier, Michael. Yes, 100%. I will put my name on everything that I can. Anyone that wants to use my name in game for shopping purposes, for extra exposure. Perfect. Thanks. No worries. Oh my god. Maybe I should try and run for Imperator. I don't think I'll beat Tony Z. Good morning, BoredGamer. When do you think the Banu Merchant one will be flight ready? So, they're still working out the full guide for it. I mean, if we were really lucky, we'd see it at the end of 2020. That's if we were really lucky. Do you think it's wrong on the privateer page, or does the privateer have 3 more main thrusters? I think that's probably wrong. The reason for that is that what I know about the privateer, the changes are it has 10 extra habs, and it replaces most of its cargo and its 2 Dragonfly bays with 10 shops overall. So 8 shops in the main cargo area and 2 in the Dragonfly bay. What is the necessary ship to buy as a starter for carrier missions, please? The Pisces is particularly effective as a carrier ship, as a starter pack, or you can buy a Mustang Alpha and upgrade it to an Avenger Titan. Those are my 2 suggestions for you. BoredGamer's Dirty Diaper Emporium, perfect. Dirty Diaper Depot, if you want alliteration there. You can have that. Can we have you say, I'm BoredGamer, and this is my favourite shop in the verse. I'm BoredGamer, and this is my Dirty Diaper Depot. You can have that. Perfect. The thing is, with the starter ships, is that you'll very quickly be able to get enough money to be able to rent another ship for like a day, and then make a good amount of money. So, you do that with a Prospector, you could do that with an Avenger Titan. Spam, rent them for a day, make a bollock ton of money. When do you think subscribers will get access to 3.8 PTU? As early... you could probably get it on next Friday, so the 13th. I think that's a potential date for first wave PTU. What else do we have here? Have you had any news about the Starliner Gemini? So, the Genesis Starliner or the Starfarer Gemini? Thinking about transporting people around mechanic. So the Genesis Starliner you're talking about. I know it's Jared's real favourite ship, and they are going to have some variants of it modularly. Also, it's going to be a ship that allows you to be transported from planet to planet to planet by AI as well. Not sure if I might have needed to clear those one at that with. I don't know. Someone said that at CitizenCon. Not my fucking problem. But I think we knew that anyway. We'd see it on starports. We can see there's Genesis Starliner starports in some of the starports anyway. So, Do we know if the ability to CCU the C8X was a one-time deal? So, I couldn't work out a way after... I couldn't work out a way... let me phrase this. I'm not sure if the ability to upgrade your C8 to a C8X in your Carrack for money was one-time or not. I'm hoping and expect the next time there's an Anvil ship sale or exploration ship sale, or when the Carrack goes live again, you'll probably have to upgrade again. Because 3.8 will almost certainly have a live ship sale as well. Can I potentially buy a set of armor and store them on my ship in 3.8 with weapons for my friends? Not properly right now. There will be a full physicalized inventory system. At the moment, we've got a step towards that. And you can sort of sometimes put certain things on ships and like on tables and on racks and things, and they'll stay there. But it's not properly in game yet. But you will be able to do that in the future, yes. Just not in 3.8 at launch. So in the CitizenCon demo, they showed player placing armor as full set. Yeah, that's exactly what I just answered. The same person asked that. Fair one. And I asked them in the wrong order. Is it a valid position to stick to a small single-seater ship pledge and earn ships in the final game? Yes! 100% John Leslie. Oh, unfortunate name. In the UK, anyway. Okay, yeah. So, hasn't everyone now got bigger ships, more specialized? Some people have, some people don't. You join an org, you can use their other specialized ships. Smaller ships have a use as well, and you'll be fine earning everything in game just with the starter package. Question: do you think it's a bug that the base level Pisces can hold 4 guns instead of the advertised 2? Yes, 100% is a bug. Normal C8 Pisces can only have 2 guns, or supposed to only have 2 guns. And the C8X, the Expedition one, that's going to have 4 hardpoints. But the other one only has 2 hardpoints. Will capital ships like the Javelin from Origin fit in the jump point wormholes? We don't 100% know how those jump points are going to work yet. But we saw that there was like little routes going off the side and a big main route and stuff. So maybe. We'll have to wait and see exactly what they want to do with that. Originally, they did say that there was going to be jump point sizes, which would be more or less appropriate for different size ships. Are rentals planned to be allowed in the final version of the game? Yes. You're able to purchase and rent ships in-game for the final version as well, not just the alpha. Will we be able to change armor colors in the future? Yes. We don't know 100% how the customization system will work. In the shorter term, they're sort of like doing it where you can just buy lots of different colors of armor. But I suspect in the future, they'll just have it so you can just customize the armor. Do you think we're getting this Crusader Starlifter soon? 4.0? Though they might jig that around. They talked about potential, because it's just the C2 base one that they're doing first. They might have the others come straight after it, or they might rejig it around and do them all at the same time. So, do you think we'll get the mole as an Orion loner, considering it's multi-crew? Yes. I think that's almost certain. What do you think the best value of... What did you think the best value purchase of the previous sale was? The Banner Merchantman, $350. The current flight model seems to lack momentum and weight, like more of a binary movement, especially for smaller ships. Rotation is sudden, not gradual. Will this be addressed? Yes. And they're still tweaking and doing lots of stuff to the flight model. I talked to David Coulson at CitizenCon, and he was like, all the pieces are sort of like getting there now. There's a lot to be done still, but we're gonna get there with what we've got, sort of thing. And he was saying, talking about the hover mode and talking about the new flight assist mode, VTOL assist, whatever the fuck it was called. So expect lots and lots of tweaks to that, and ships not feeling like mobile turrets on planets. With the melee, aren't people going to run around and knock people out? Nope. It will be a crime, and in the shorter term, I think the armistice zones are still there. I was able to get But they are going to be some of the crimes they're adding are assault and battery and stuff like that. So you're going to get huge fines for just randomly punching people. Yes, in the future you certainly will be able to though. You just go ha 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 ha, and then be shot and go to prison and have huge fine. The Pioneer, I believe, is not in active production. I was able to get the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, all of my ships that were non-lifetime insurance ready. Hope everyone else did too. Love your show. Thanks very much. I appreciate the love. Thank you, thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you for people throwing money at me. Do you buy all ships from SIG? So I don't get given any by SIG. I refuse them when they offer, quite genuinely. So, like for 3.7, I was offered a ship to give away. I refused it. Can't remember what ship it was. It's like, meh. Like, thanks very much. You're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to give me all the ships to use. Though I've already got a subscription for that. So I got a subscription so that I get the new ships to use immediately when there's a live release anyway. And I'm Evocati, so I know what I want to do. So yeah, so I buy my ships directly from CIG, or other people buy them for me and send them to me, or an orc will give them to me. And I have used the grey market before as well. So I don't buy them all necessarily directly from CIG myself. Do you know on the top of Bill Whittle's subscriptions? I don't know what that means, but thanks very much. Could you make a YouTube video checking the promises from the last CitizenCon and 2019 progress? Yes. So in my list of videos to do, which I can't find currently, but I will open up. CitizenCon, Star Citizen 2019 December content. So I've got 2019 summary, but you want CitizenCon 2019, no, 2018 and 19. What was implemented? Promises broken, sort of thing. I'll have a look. I'll look to see if that's a viable, sensible video to do. I've got no problem criticizing CIG, but I'm typically much more chill about that sort of shit. I just cover the news that they talk about themselves. So I'm not a in-depth journalist of let me uncover the lies. I'm not that sort of YouTuber. I go, let me tell you what I enjoy about the latest patch. Pew, 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 and it has this, ba, ba, bang, and you can do this in it. Pew, 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 pew. That's my style. Maybe in the future. Sound in Space, yeah, it's simulated sound. You know, they're playing it so that you don't feel weird. Fun over realism is basically what they've said. The mission playing in the background, would it be possible to land with a squad and clear the place with the guns? I believe so. Yeah, they might keep on calling in reinforcements. It might fail you. Depends if there might be restrictions on the mission to do it like stealthily or whatever. But yeah, potentially you could there'll be multiple ways of doing some of these missions. And they've got multi-part missions with multiple routes and stuff like that coming on from 3.9 onwards, I think was the plan. I can do a info dump video about the Pioneer, outpost building, drops, and what we know about surveying and the economy for that sort of side. Yeah, I could do something like that. Land gameplay / Pioneer / building / shops. Info dump. See, this is basically why I do these streams, is because well, people chuck money at me, and you know, I run a YouTube and a Twitch channel talking about Star Citizen, so it's a good time to interact with people. But it's hugely for getting ideas and working out what I'm going to do for content. I'm going to dash off in a minute actually, because I need to eat, and I since CitizenCon I've had fucking terrible lungs. I've got a sore throat. I've got constant like mucus. I can't breathe properly. Jared was running around with bronchitis, and you get flu when I don't go out much. So when I see like thousands of people, I'm gonna get really fucking ill, which is what's happened. What's your view on artificial scarcity that CIG is trying to create? Yeah, so part of their marketing, CIG sort of like have this artificial scarcity with ships. People know that those ships aren't artificially scarce though. Well, so some ships are sold in just waves. So you only have access to them at certain times. That's technically not really artificial scarcity in the same way. But they do sell hulls of ships in limited amounts. And that is more artificial scarcity. It works them. What can I say? It's annoying as a gamer. I'd rather everything be available in-game to buy immediately. But the game wouldn't get its funding if it didn't do its marketing model that it does. Well, probably not anyway. We could talk for a huge amount of time on what other possibilities they could do for generating money. But it works for them. It works really well. And they generate more and more each year on year. A lot of people say, oh, it's the whales. It's not the whales. It's new players coming in, spending a lot more money. Because there are more and more citizens every year. But it's 2.5 million now. And they're spending, on average, more each as well. So I don't think it's just the whales. There might be a lot more whales. Hi, BG. Oi. As always, a question about the Merchantman. Did you get some infos about the Merchantman at CitizenCon? It's not on the roadmap. It's they are working on finalising the style guides and getting everything 100% locked down for it before continuing with it. Was my understanding. Next year I will, because I'm probably going to go I'm poking CIG about going on an office tour Q1 2020. So I'll find out about Theatres of War 3.9, 4.0, 4.1, Banning Merchantman, some other ships like that, Squadron 42 stuff. If I'm allowed to, Squadron 42. Have they mentioned anything about being able to hire NPCs to infiltrate places for you? So in the demo here, they had, as part of the mission, a scientist drop off equipment or something. Or the other player might have already got the items for it. So there might be some missions that allow other people to take missions based on the items they get from those missions, and then those items then become used by another player for a different mission. But I don't know if you'll be able to get players, hire NPCs to do other stuff for you, but you'll be able to hire players to do it for you. Have you tried landing on a moving target? Yeah? At varying levels of success. I drink plenty of water and orange juice. Grammy iced tea is fantastic. Just general black tea is pretty good as well. But yeah, I drink a load of green tea. And I drink a good amount of normal tea. Any idea about the Redeemer and Where's My Baby? So the Redeemer is more of a gunship. It's sort of like being worked on. Don't expect it anytime really soon though. Gonna have lots of gun turrets and guns. Not so much of a dropship anymore. It is a proper gunship. What VR systems will Stargate support? SG? Star Citizen, we don't know. Gonna have Vulcan support pretty soon. Then they can probably start looking at VR. I would expect to see VR for Squadron 42 Episode 1 first. But that might be next-gen VR, or it might be Valve Index. We'll have to wait and see. Based on your experience with 3.8 testing, would you say 3.8 is a big improvement over 3.7? Can't talk about specifics given either Kali patch. However, I can say that Staggered Development and the roadmap looks to have 3.8 the most playable version of Star Citizen ever, and the stuff that we can see that they're doing with the planetary tech V4 makes Star Citizen look a lot prettier. So I would expect 3.8 to be the most playable, best version of Star Citizen we've ever had. Although there are the potential to have lots of bugs with server-side object container streaming and stuff. Any word on science and medical gameplay interaction? No, not really at the moment. We know we're going to be getting sort of like being able to drag people and use items on other players in the not too distant future, in 2020 probably. So is your org recruiting and looking for people to crew capital ships? So I've got like a javelin and stuff. The BoredGamer org is just a social org, which you're more than welcome to join, and we will be doing silly stuff in the verse, and it's for testing and messing around and for making videos and B-roll. I run another one as well called Nomad Black, which will become active once it's reasonable to become active. But the idea of the BoredGamer stuff and my Discord is that you will be able to, at some point, fly the Javelin and mess around with it and that sort of stuff, and not have to worry about crashing into a sun or a star or whatever without people getting angry with you. One of the Vandal ships have like a drawn knife. Can that be used to attack? Yes. So the Vandal Scythe and the Glaives, they have the blades coming out, and they stabby. They're supposed to be for rammy. Yeah, delete. So for more stability, delete your shader folder in your user folder. You can delete your whole user folder, but that will remove any of your key bindings and stuff like that as well. Right. What have we got here? Anything else here? It might have been a Defender, yeah, that they offered me a while ago, but I went, nope. I will... When Star Citizen has released a product, I will have less problems taking stuff from them and going to like events that they pay for and stuff. Until then, I'll fund my own events, or at least I won't take money from them. I'll let donations and other people decide whether I go to an event or something. Or I'll put it up with my own money, obviously. And giveaways and stuff I'll have funded in a similar way with Patreon money or my own or whatever for the channel. There's no need to take stuff from them. I don't want to be blacklisted by CIG of someone that's like they don't want to work with, but I don't want to be taking stuff from them, so I'm not like sort of like don't bite the hand that feeds you style. Like it's a slippery slope you don't want to go down, in my opinion. So. What else do we got? Do you think the missiles in the Constellation will work in 3.8? I would expect a load of the problems we currently have in Star Citizen will be addressed in 3.8. They are trying to make it as bug-free, quality of life-y as possible, and trying to fix a load of the problems we've previously had. And I would expect a lot more org and group play functionality in 2020. Question, will the new Crusader fighter, we don't know if it's a fighter for sure, so it's the Crusader Ares, which is the Ares is the god of war. I heard the term Starfighter bounded around, which is why I thought it might be a Starfighter. They did say something about a new ship that's going to have lots of armor or something like that. I don't know how much we'll be going for because we're not sure exactly what it is yet. Do I got 2 class? And what do you think player caps will be at for 3.8? So 3.8 almost certainly will just have standard player cap. With server-side object container streaming version 1, they did say they may start experimenting with higher server caps, if it makes sense. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure about delivery times for merch and stuff from CIG. I ordered a cap, and that came in within a timely manner. Although the quality of the cap was not superb, so I got a concierge cap. I'd expected the quality of this cap to be slightly higher. The stitching's not the best, but it's not awful. It's sort of like mid-tier. It's a mid-tier cap, which I paid reasonably high. I suppose $30. Mid-tier money, I suppose. The footage in the background is from the Star Citizen CitizenCon gameplay demo that they showed at CitizenCon on the keynote. What is the EMP Hawk status? So they are reworking the EMP and distortion weapons, which you'll see, I think, in the not too distant future. But you'll see that properly, distortion weapons and EMPs come into their own once we have physicalized components. Because they need to rework them properly for that again. In 3.9, we're supposed to have the repair refuel V1. No, not anymore. We're not. The roadmap's heavily changed from then. I would expect repair and refuel in 2020 though. Is there a system in place to share money? They are putting a accounting app for the Mobilglass and some other economy stuff in 3.9, which is potentially where you'll be able to transfer money between people. Argo Mole has multiple people. Who gets the money when it's sold? I think that in 3.8 it's going to be the ship owner, basically. Do you think the last server wipe will be When do you think the last server wipe will be? It's going to be once they have move over to UEC from Alpha UEC. So you're going to have a much more fleshed out game. I'm thinking last wipe in 4 years' time. Oh, Dust Still Dawn! Thank you very much for becoming a YouTuber member. Much appreciated. Legend. I gosh Josh as well. I'm not sure if I said thanks for the money. But thanks for the money if I didn't. Very much appreciated. Hey Bod, thanks for the great content. Yeah. Thanks for watching me. That's what people need to do. You don't need to support me with money. Just sharing videos, liking videos, giving me feedback, giving me content ideas, joining the Discord. Any of that stuff really, really helps. I effectively get paid by YouTube when you watch my videos. That's how I make most of my money. If you want to chuck money at me, I will fucking adore your money. I'll spend it on lovely things like delicious food and new computer components. That's pretty much all I want to do with my life. Occasionally drink alcohol. I'm pretty good at that. Buy board games. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Steve Callahan, I am sort of sick of seeing new ship concepts, new flight-ready ships being pushed out on a regular basis. I wish they get back through the backlog. They currently have before considering any more primary focus on balancing the current ships and making sure all intended functions are working on those ships, except where the current game mechanics are not supported and implemented yet. We have more in-game than Elite Dangerous, which... Okay, there's not a lack of choice, basically, what you're saying with ships. So it's not mutually exclusive. They only have 20 people working on dedicated Persistent Universe ships at any given time. Obviously, there are lots of other disciplines which touch on ships as well, admittedly. And then the rest of the people are working on specifics for ships or environments for Squadron 42, the rest of the ship guys, other than those 20. But it's not mutually exclusive as a thing. I totally get what you're saying with there needs to be more of a focus on getting the core of the game in there, getting all of the physical components and stuff like that in there. But I do think they are doing that as well. There's just some other stuff going on with ships. I don't think it's that much. I don't think they're pushing out ships constantly. They're doing a reasonable amount of that. There needs to be a reasonable amount of diversity. There's a lot of vehicles and stuff like that as well. I do. If you look at how many ships there needs to be done, was there? I'm not including variants of them. There's not actually that many. It was 22 or something ships that need to be completed, which isn't that many. I need to citation needed. I need to get that number up again and have a look. But I get what you're saying. Totally agree. But they are, in my opinion, they are focusing on a lot of the core of the game, and they are doing a lot of the work they need to be doing now. And that's just for you saying you don't need chat money. Thank you very much, Dark Galaxy. I knew me framing not wanting money would get me more money. Well, actually, it's not that I don't want money. It's that I don't think you don't need to support me with money if you don't want to, or you don't feel like you need to. The channel's not going to stop because people don't donate. That is what I'm saying. I appreciate people just being here and chatting as well. Thank you. Genuinely, thank you though. Where can you see the stats for weapons and components? All I see in game is lore info. So you can't properly see them in game yet. You have to go to people's third-party apps and stuff on Google. There are some good ones. I can't remember at all at the top of my head. Sorry if this has been mentioned before. Just got here. When do you think the Hull C or the rest of the Hull series will be added to the game? They talked about in the live stream we watched earlier. They are working on the Hull C. There's 3 more steps they need to get done. They've just finished a big physics refactor, which is a big step towards that. But they also said... Let me find it in my notes. They need the bigger cargo boxes, so not the small cargo boxes, because that's too many entities if they put them all on the Hull C. They need larger cargo boxes, which scale up in size. They need docking, for ship-to-station docking, and then they need physics grids and vis areas to be transformable at runtime. And then they need to finish the final art for the Hull C. I'd expect to see it next year. Also, love the content you put out regularly. I tend to pay more attention to what you put out than Inside Star Citizen as of late. I find your information much more interesting than the official sources in the horse's mouth. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I try and condense down stuff and then elaborate and explain it a bit further based on other stuff that CIG have said. I know some people don't like that. I know some people do like that. It's very much my content, and I'm only representing my views and the views of what I deem the news and information I have. So, thank you very much. I do appreciate that, Steve. Thank you, Star. Which feature and roadmap item do you see as the next biggest leap for Star Citizen? Server-side with container streaming, then it's physicalized components. I mean, people will say it's like another star system, but I don't think it's actually that big a leap. I think it's the tech behind that that's a leap. So, server meshing after that. And a full platform persistence, so that we have full persistence. Not just, oh, we might save it and not reset. It's a full permanent progression. I suppose that's when they might switch over to UEC, or at least they'll switch to UEC after that at some point. Let me have a quick look at a couple more questions, and then I am going to dash off. Which one thing would you most like to see improved as quickly as possible? General flight and combat. It's either AI for NPCs, or general flight model and combat stuff. It's hard to sort of want both. I play Star Citizen for two very different reasons at two different times. One's sort of like the more PvP and interaction, fighting other players, and one's fighting with AI and doing NPC stuff. I've got whiskey, honey, and lemon hot with an aspirin seems to sort me out for a whole day, which I'm going to go downstairs and drink in a minute. It's my dad's recipe for battling pain with cancer, actually, I think. So it's pretty good for a sore throat. When you think the Polaris will be finished, it's not an active development, so I don't know. I think it's something that they would want to get done earlier rather than later because of how popular it is. So, I mean, you could see it if you're really lucky, like CitizenCon next year sort of thing. Thoughts on the Hercules M2? All armored version of the Hercules and carrier tank. I think it's a Google ship. What type of game money? With any type of game, money isn't an issue after a short amount of time. Money is normally the biggest motivation to keep playing. So will there be other motivations once you're rich? I suspect there'll be lots of money sinks and lots more to do. I think there's going to be the same sort of money sinks and things that you can do in EVE. I suspect there's going to be huge org battles and people trying to control the economy, probably crafting and stuff like that. So, what the use the seat if you can just standing when traveling? What use is the seat? You need to operate some consoles with seats, and there might be more turbulence in the future as well that you'd want a seat for. I mean, obviously, capital ships and capital components are going to be incredibly expensive as well. So, like, I think having a capital ship is a quarter of the price of having the capital ship. I think that having full-grade military components like A-class, good components for it, is going to be incredibly expensive. 3 times more, probably more than that than the ship. And then even maintaining those ships is going to be incredibly expensive. Have you heard anything about the Connie being fixed? I would expect lots of updates to the Constellation, well, fixes and quality of life for it for 3.8. I'd hope, anyway. Right. I need to update my t-shirts and stuff. That is true. When do you think we'll get money transactions in Star Citizen? With 3.9. I think that the accounting app that they plan for 3.9 will have that functionality. If not then 4.0. I just backed for the Merchantman, but I'm a bit confused by the loaner ship. It's the Starfarer, when there are better cargo ships such as the Cat. Do you have any insight on this? They will change and tweak the loaner ships for ships as they move on with more appropriate ships. Not sure why it's not the Caterpillar. I think the idea of having seats like that there is that it also represents that there's enough of a life support system in there in the ship as well. Right. Any news on the Orion? No, it's not an active development currently. It's huge though. Right. Will the battlecruiser be added to the game and have flat cannons? So you'll see potentially some of the point defense system type auto turrets and some other weapons act as flat cannons. Yeah, we sort of like have some flat cannons already in the game. But battlecruiser stuff, it's in the original stretch goals. They wanted battlecruisers and some other classes of ship, which are yet to be in the game. So maybe. When are we getting 3.8? So 3.8 is currently with the Avocadi. Expect 3.8 to be live by sort of like 21st of December, if not before. That's my expectation. With potentially next Friday, maybe first wave PTU if we're lucky. Right. What are your thoughts on the Corsair, and when do you think we'll have it? Corsair's not in active development either, currently. Unfortunately. What are my thoughts on the new sniper rifle? Those sort of high accuracy guns are great once we have better network code and more PvE enemies. So, I really like the Animus missile launcher though. It's really cool. Yeah, so the winners of the November ship stuff's been announced. You can go over to my Reddit or my channel update video to find that out. There's links in there as well. I made a mistake, so I had to give out 2 Cutlass Blacks. Sniper rifle. No, sniper rifle. Sniper rifle. Have you heard any mention of any kind of missions involving us joining NPCs on battle on the ground? Yeah, so they are working on AI so that more NPCs are able to participate in missions as like buddies, wingmen, just are there for some reasons. Some of these multi-part missions, the 3.9 onwards, I think, may have more and more NPCs in as well. Will there be Peter Rice in the game? Probably. I think there's probably Peter Rice on some of the food courts in the game already. Why not? Right. I am going to go and eat and watch Dr. Stone and some other anime while I eat, probably. But thank you very much for watching. I have got a new video out looking at the biomes of Microtech and the Inside Star Citizen and Wormhole stuff. You can see on the screen some Wormhole things going on. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask me or suggestions for videos, you can jump on my Discord and message me there, or contact at boredgamer.co.uk. That will let me see them much more easily and readily. But the Discord's probably the best place to get me because I actually will respond in a timely manner. I am going to be starting to do Org Spotlight probably in a couple of weeks' time again. Need to look at. I haven't got any orgs planned. Lots of people have been contacting me about Org Spotlight and saying, how do I get involved in Org Spotlight? So basically, this is where I will interview an org or play with an org, or both. Sort of like do a quick interview with them, finding out about their org and advertising them, or have them advertised at the end of each of my videos or whatever. There is no barrier to entry for that. You do not have to give me anything. You do not have to be a particular level of org or something. I might be looking at specific orgs at certain times, specific types of org, so that's more likely to fit in. But I don't need any ships from you. Don't need to give anything away. If people want to give away ships or give away something to sweeten the deal, as it were, you're more than welcome to after we've done it and worked out everything else. I don't want to know about it until then. I don't want to know. I don't contact you. We'll talk about stuff. I don't want to know about any ships giveaway. And if you're like, cool, awesome, that's all sorted. We're doing an interview then. Blah, 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 blah. We'd also like to give away a ship. I'll be like, cool, yeah, no worries. Okay, that's genuinely it. I don't want it to be gated by anything. I want to cover a lot of different orgs, from giant orgs that are able to afford a fuck ton of stuff to very, 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 very tiny orgs. I say very tiny. I probably don't want to interview people that are, have like only one member. I might put a minimum restriction that's very small, like because I want to know that the org is appropriate for people, so that it can be an org that will survive the next year, and that they have experience with working with others, and they're not a bunch of pricks. So I think of a couple of extra restrictions on that. I don't. Well, maybe I don't. Anyone can apply though. Just you can message me on the Discord if you want to apply. There's actually a thread that you can post stuff about your org in, so you can pretend to recruit me in that thread, or recruit everyone, and I will look through that stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to reply to that because lots of people have been asking me about. I've got really actually knows not about that, about Org Spotlight. So we will start doing that again. Okay, I'll look into Morphologis's org because I haven't covered Morphologis's stuff. I haven't got a Zorg anyway. And it was really amazing meeting morphologists at CitizenCon actually, and everyone else. It's such a fucking good time. Thank you very much for the love, very much appreciated. Anyway, thank you very much for all the money. Thank you very much for all the subs. My headphones are Sennheiser wireless ones. They are HDR 180s. They are pretty old now, but they are pretty good. I'm partly deaf in my left ear, or at least I don't have great hearing. My left ear is probably a better way of saying that. Scarred eardrum or something. So I don't have the same sort of like need for the best audio that some other people do. But these are pretty good. That's all I can say. They got to give me a good soundscape. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks very much for watching. You can't land a cutlass in a Carrack now. Not safely anyway. Not flat. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. You take care. I'll get some more videos out and check out my latest video, which is already live. Love you guys. You take care. Talk to you soon. Oh no, we'll host someone. Wait, we need to host someone, don't we? That's sensible. Otherwise, we're just like, oh no, yeah, that's me. I don't want to host me because I'm an idiot. Bam. Who is online? We will host. Is there anyone new around? Oh, someone with a beautiful My Little Pony avatar. Zinnian Zero. This I don't know who this guy is. I'm just gonna host him. I apologise if he's crap. I'm sure he's gonna be great. Give him some love. Let's raid him. Bam. I'm sure it'll be fine. What could go wrong, eh? What could go wrong? Thanks very much for watching, guys. Love your face. Talk to you soon. Maybe I don't love your face. It's irrelevant. I'm just an attractive fucking potato. Boom.